One of the great things about being here at Media Row is you get to meet people unexpectedly. This morning, just in passing, we met Mayor JD Longo from Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania, and he began to tell us his story. Mayor, first of all, welcome.
Thank you for having me, sir.
What an incredible story. I want to start with the fact that you did the Pledge of Allegiance and spoke to the crowd Saturday in Pennsylvania at the rally.
Yes,
That's
sir.
how your day started.
Yeah, it was a great beginning to the day. You know, nobody could have guessed that it was going to take the complete 180 that it did.
And what ended up happening, well, first of all, the president acknowledged what a great job you did, because I saw the video. Got the crowd roaring, got them cheering. The president complimented you a couple of times on your speaking, and that had to feel pretty good for a small-town mayor to.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly, especially being the mayor of a small town that hosts a university, which typically produces some left-leaning individuals. So after taking knocks on the chin for 7 years from folks like that, it feels good to have been recognized by the president. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to have had a conversation with him.
So this is where it turns. I heard you talk about, in your interview earlier, and we were talking about it off the air, you served as a Marine.
Yes, sir.
A bit in combat. And then you found yourself in a situation where there was gunfire and your wife was right there next to you. Can you talk about those moments and what happened?
Yeah, sure. And, let me start by saying this, at the forefront of my memory in everything that I've spoken about. I just want to make sure that we acknowledge local hero, Fire Chief Corey Compradore, who is no longer with us because of this maniac that decided to do violence on President Trump and the rally-goers. But for me, it's a mix of emotions. I feel relieved, of course, that my wife is safe and my family members who were there with me are safe, but it's hard to reconcile with that feeling when you understand just how much suffering has been endured by all of these people. Lots of folks have been injured. Quite a few were seriously injured. I understand that there's another fellow Marine who just came out of medically induced coma, and grateful for that too. But it's difficult, to be excited about being in a place right now like the RNC where there's so much hope and so many smiles, while realizing that on Saturday we all experienced a horrific event.
How close were you to the president, and how close were you to the firefighter? I mean, can you give us a mental picture of how close you were to all that?
Yeah. So being a speaker, I had the privilege of sitting front row, just to the right of President Trump. If you were him, you would look over at your 3 o'clock, you would see me 15 feet to 20 feet, somewhere in that range, are my wife, myself, Sean Parnell, his wife, Congressman Kelly and Muser are there, Dave McCormick running for Senate in Pennsylvania, 15 feet behind us. You have the bleachers where, again, local hero Corey Compradore was sitting.
And when you say local hero, just so people understand the picture, he was a firefighter, a chief in the town right next to you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, very close by.
And so your officers in your town and your firefighters in your town knew him very well.
I've heard all sorts of stories about this man, and I can't say that I had the honor of knowing him personally, but what I understand is that he lived a hero and he died just the same.
Well, and to add to that, and I'm sure you're not going to say this, but I will. You were telling me earlier that you and the people you were there with were both at the same time on top of your wives, protecting your wives, just as he was doing.
Yeah.
Has it struck you yet that could have easily have been you that took that bullet?
Yes, and but in the same instance, I remember that, or at least I think, I don't think that I did anything special, right? And I bet you Corey didn't think he was doing anything special either. He was just doing his duty as a man to his family. And I saw so many people step up that day. And I think, I'm speaking for myself, but I think I speak for most of the men and women in that crowd who stepped up to help, that every one of them would have been of course not glad to, but if it came down to it, to protect their loved ones, I'm sure that they would have done the same.
In hindsight, when all the commotion happened and the Secret Service rushed the stage and the president got up and pumped his fist in the air, were you aware of any of that? Yeah. Or was at the time, were you consumed with what was happening?
Yeah, no, so at first I started off, on top of my wife, just trying to keep her covered and shielded.
And you just found out you guys are pregnant.
We just found out that we were expecting a few weeks ago. And, at first that was my priority. While doing that, I was scanning behind us. At first I didn't realize exactly where the gunfire was coming from. I just knew that it was behind us. My fear was that there was a gunman inside behind us.
Right.
And that's why I was even more so concerned with being on top of her. Whenever I realized that it was outside of the perimeter, I started to raise my head, of course, and scan a little bit more. My eyes kept going back from the crowd that was sitting around us, trying to make sure, of course, that everybody around us was staying low, and then going back to the president. Because, obviously I was wondering, did we just witness the assassination of Donald J. Trump? And I saw it all. I saw the Secret Service pounce on him to protect him. I saw him stand up and wrangle his arm and head away from their huddle so that he could stick his fist up in what I've been calling a triumphant defiance in his head and tell us all, show us all, I'm okay. And he showed an amazing steadfastness there. He was in a moment of adversity and horror. He offered a bit of reprieve to everybody there by showing just how strong he was going to be for us.
What did the president has said how it's changed him and changed some of his messaging? What did you take from that event? Did it change you? And what did you take from that event that you'll carry?
Yeah, it reminded me that there's a lot of ugly in this world, but it might sound crazy to say, but I saw a lot of beauty in that moment. Like I said, there were so many people around me who were stepping up in that moment to help one another. The president showed amazing strength. The law enforcement officers and Secret Service members that were on the ground with us inside the venue in that moment, they were quick to take action and to help those around them. And so despite all of the horror, I just saw so much good, and I hope that we don't focus so much on the gunman, of course, and his violence, but rather I hope we focus on the heroism of people like Corey Comparatori. I hope we focus on the individuals who are wounded right now, who are suffering but healing, thank God. And I hope that we just focus on our common humanity. And I think that's especially important for individuals who from time to time might not think so great about President Trump and his followers. We hear a lot of vitriolic rhetoric sometimes come there, and honestly it debases and dehumanizes folks. And so I just hope that this is a learning opportunity for people, and more than that, I hope that this is an opportunity to bring people closer and back to God. I said that this was a godless society that allowed for this to happen.
Mayor, it's a pleasure to meet you. I know this was an unexpected kind of thrust into the limelight for you, but I've listened to interviews with you this morning and listening to you talk here and seeing you on TV. You've handled it so well and so gracefully, and I want to thank you for doing it that way. And really, thank you for joining this Phoenix audience. This story is so important.
Thank you for having me,
Thanks.
sir. Appreciate your time.
All right, that is Mayor JD Longo from Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Catch up on Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast, and click the button in the middle to subscribe.